So, we are actually going to talk about anxiety again because most of us are feeling anxious with something or the other. But today, we want to get to the root cause of what exactly causes anxiety and develops into an anxiety disorder. So, we have Joy Acazo. She is a neuroscientist as well as a licensed therapist who is going to tell us which anxiety is good, which anxiety is bad, right? Welcome, Joy.
Hi, Dr. Amita. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. By the way, disclaimer, I am not a doctor. Everybody thinks I'm a doctor because I've started talking like that, but
You have, yeah, yeah.
I just do acting. I don't know anything. Just a disclaimer.
That's awesome.
All right. So let's understand what is happening in our brain, right? What is causing anxiety? And I know the anxiety if I have to go on a vacation is a good anxiety, but anxiety if I have to say, oh my God, what's going to happen to me is bad anxiety. So how does the brain
Yes.
register that?
No, that's a great question.
Mhm,
First of all, anxiety is an emotion, and we all experience emotions, right?
mhm, mhm,
However, what happens is that when anxiety becomes really intense, and then we start to avoid things that we used to like,
mhm,
avoid things that are good for us, then that's when it becomes to be more of like, we need to pause and say, okay, what's happening?
yeah.
Because an appropriate level of anxiety is actually good for us, right? That's
Mhm,
the one that helps us under remember how to pay
mhm,
the like that we need to pay the bills, we need to meet deadlines,
mhm,
we have needs that we need to meet and things like that.
mhm,
However, when it becomes unmanageable to the
mhm,
point where we lose, interest in pleasurable activities, we lose sleep, we start to lose sleep and we start to lose, appetite and things like that.
mhm,
That's when we really need to say like, okay, I need to, better understand what's happening inside my body and
mhm.
in my mind.
So let's understand. So since you're a neuroscientist, right? So the small anxiety is good, like paying the bills and going on vacation.
Yes.
So now the time when it comes into chronic, when you're losing sleep, what is happening in our brain? I think that's what we really need to understand is how to mind, right? Our brain.
Yes, absolutely. And it's funny because my clients, they know me and how I talk about sleep all the time because
Mhm,
sleep actually helps reset the nervous system. And
mhm,
it's a huge deal. But in our society, it's something that we don't really, prioritize, right?
yeah,
And we say, like, oh, sleep is for the weak. When I was in my 20s, we used to say that sleep is for the weak. Or, like, when you're hustling, you got to, like, keep
yeah.
working hard and don't sleep and things like that. So when we don't sleep, our nervous system then becomes chronically on that emergency response mode, right? And there's
Mhm,
no way for it to recharge, no
mhm,
way for it to renew. And so what happens is that when our emotions
mhm,
get the best of us, then we won't be able to regulate, that
mhm,
word that we call regulate, where we reset our emotions and we're able to, think
mhm,
clearly.
mhm.
So things like that, like losing sleep, does not help our judgment or increases the overwhelm overall in our
Mhm.
body.
Mhm. Okay, so sleep. The reason we can't sleep because we're worried about something. It could be multiple reasons why we are big, worried about it, right? So sleep anxiety correlation.
Yes.
So okay, so now what would you like? How do you coach your clients to have less anxiety, the bad anxiety part?
Yes. So then we take a look at really my method is comprehensive.
Mhm.
So yes, we talk about it and yes, we, try to analyze, but also there are certain factors that we pull in, such as, what are they eating? And then how are they sleeping? And what's the
Mhm.
support system like? And
Mhm.
so all of those things can help us drive to the root cause of
Mhm.
why they worry so
Mhm.
much. But
Mhm.
then we also have practical tools such as, can we do a brain dump
Mhm.
and see, right? For example, you said worry, it
Mhm.
tends to stop us from having quality sleep. So we
Mhm.
can do a simple brain dump and say, like, okay,
Mhm.
what are some of the things that you worry about? Let's list them all. And
Mhm.
then we go back to that list and then we say, okay, do we have A, complete control over
Mhm.
that situation,
Mhm.
B, some control, or C,
Mhm.
no control,
Mhm.
right? So we categorize them in that area. And
Mhm.
then for those things that we don't have control over,
Mhm.
we table them. We say,
Okay.
okay,
Yeah.
not that we ignore them. We just kind
Yeah.
of like, well, that's not going to be a priority at the moment, right? Because then we
Mhm.
have to figure out why is there no control in this
Mhm.
situation.
Mhm.
But then we prioritize those worries that you
Mhm.
feel you have complete control over.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then secondly, those worries that you have some control over.
I
And
see.
then we do an action plan.
Wow. So I love the way you said brain dump, right? It's like a garbage can, right? The way I empty my garbage in at my home, the same thing, I need to dump the bad thoughts that are coming in my brain out somewhere. But where do I dump it? Like, I need to talk to someone. I can't just go start shouting on my top of my lungs. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what are the strategies to do a brain dump? I mean, let's just go step by step. We need
Yes,
to talk to someone like you, right? To do the
sure.
structure.
Absolutely. So what you can do is take a piece of paper, and just start writing those things. And
Mhm.
and I also tell, people and my clients as well,
Mhm.
when you do a brain dump, don't make it so hard on yourself. Pair it with something that is pleasant for you. Like let's say while you're having a snack or like you're drinking
Mhm.
tea or your coffee, right? And then just start writing
Mhm.
those things down so
Yeah.
that you can get clear on really what is it that you're worried about. And then
Mhm.
practice non-judgment. When you're listing, you're just listing. You're
Mhm.
and I know it's sometimes difficult because
Mhm.
you're like you might be listing and then all of a sudden you're like trying to figure out solutions for each one of
Mhm.
them. So
Mhm.
no, this is just a basic list, right? Your
Mhm.
brain dump is a basic list. You write down everything, no judgment,
Mhm.
and use a pen so that you don't erase it, right? I always tell, my clients, don't use a
Yeah.
pencil because then you'll be tempted to erase it. So
Mhm.
use a pen, just list them,
Mhm.
and then you can go back to it later on, right? Because
Mhm.
you just really want an outlet, like you said,
Yeah.
Anita, like just
Mhm.
need to release it, an outlet. Leave it for a little bit, come back to it later on when you feel a little bit calmer.
Mhm.
Um, and then, like I said, try to figure out what is within your control.
Yeah.
Now, if it is becoming too much, then that is when you can, seek help from a professional. And
Correct.
you can even save your list and say, listen, I did a brain dump and I don't
Mhm.
know where to go from here, right?
Mhm.
Like, so you just take that list and then show it to the professional and they'll be able to guide you, step by step. But
Yeah.
really, the first step is to make your list, no
Mhm.
judgment, very
Mhm.
simple list. Just write everything down. It doesn't matter how ridiculous you think you
Yeah.
sound, it's
Yeah.
okay. Secondly, go back to your list and try to understand which of those things are within your control
Mhm.
and things that are not within your control. And then
Mhm.
thirdly, you can do your action plan from there. Okay, so I'm worried about this. What do I want to happen? What
Mhm.
kind of outcome do
Mhm.
I want from
Mhm.
this?
So, okay, so it's like categorizing my brain dump into what is in my control, what is not in my control, and
Yes.
some past things, trauma, right? It
Uh,
happens to a lot of people, and that's something there's nothing in control. That's the past part, but I can control my future. All I can control is who I am right now, right?
yes, yes.
That's all I can control. So now, okay, so let's say I've categorized my past, my future, which I'm worried about, and present, I'm not paying attention. To be honest with you, a lot of us do that.
Yeah.
So, what is the action plan? Just a framework of action plan. I mean, are you going to tell them, hey, do breathing exercises, or talk it out with the mind mapping, or do some, I don't know, some oils? I mean, what is from a
Yeah,
therapist point of
yes,
view?
yes. So let's say, okay, we've got the present, right? This is what I need immediately.
Yeah.
So what I would do is definitely deep breathing exercises,
Mhm.
and I tell people also with deep breathing exercises,
Mhm.
it's not just when anxiety kicks in.
Yeah.
Do your deep breathing exercises consistently every
Mhm.
day, even when you're not anxious, because
Mhm.
that is really good for you. The
Mhm.
deep breathing exercises can help slow down the brain,
Mhm.
right? And then it signals the brain not to release the cortisol, which is the
Mhm.
stress hormones.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
deep breathing is really good, for
Mhm.
you. And then yes, meet with someone who can help you, kind of understand, right, what
Yeah.
is going on. Because anxiety is also a mind body signal. It
Correct.
is a signal from our body to understand that maybe there's a need that we're not meeting,
Mhm.
whether it's connection,
Mhm.
rest, maybe some kind of planning, for the
Mhm.
future that is well within, appropriate
Mhm.
levels, right? Or, you mentioned trauma, for example.
Yeah.
When trauma is involved,
Mhm.
definitely that is something that a professional, can help you
Mhm.
really dig, deeper. So, and then lifestyle changes can
Yeah.
also come into play. Exercise, physical movement. Are you having downtime where you don't do
Mhm.
anything at all, like absolutely nothing?
Mhm.
Because research shows that that also helps reset the nervous
Mhm.
system. And so those things. And then another tip that you could use is to flood your senses with things that are soothing for you. Like,
Yeah.
do you like to look at pictures of puppies or something
Mhm.
like that, right? I also
Mhm.
tell my clients, like,
Mhm.
on your lunch break, instead of
Mhm.
scrolling on social media, take a look at pictures of happy moments, like with your
Yeah.
children or with your family or with your puppies or things like that. Oils, you mentioned oils. So
Mhm.
having oils around, or your favorite scent even,
Mhm.
lotion or things like that, because the sense of smell is actually connected to the nervous system. That's a sense
Mhm.
that we can help ourselves alleviate anxiety rather quickly, because when
Mhm.
you smell your favorite scent, it
Mhm.
goes straight back into your limbic system, and again that slows down the
Mhm.
anxiety. Or listening to music,
Mhm.
whichever music helps you relieve stress or calms you down.
Mhm.
um, or maybe even texture, right? Like some people, they like soft blankets,
Mhm.
or anything that can be soothing for you,
Mhm.
that can also help you. Because when we can separate our thoughts from our feelings, then we're able to really like have clarity over,
Mhm.
what is it that's really worrying us or causing us anxiety.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. In a lot of Asian culture, that both of us have been brought up with, right? And I remember, every time there was an anxiety or something like that, there was a lot of chanting, right? Like in Buddhism or even in Hinduism, a lot of religions for that. There's a lot of chanting and praying and
Yeah.
chanting, like kind of in a congregation, which happens in a lot of places. And that's what I remember my grandmother doing, believe it or not. And she would chant, and she would go in a congregation in a temple, and they would be chanting, all of them together, and it helped them calm down. So that's
Yeah,
right. So that part, the society and the community part, is so missing now. It used to happen, like, so many years back.
that's true. That's so true.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up today? These are really great tips, Joy, for telling people how to calm themselves down. Anything else you'd like to add?
Sure. When it comes to anxiety, you don't want to wait until things get worse, right? There's very many adjustments that you can do to be able to take proactive measures with your anxiety, with your emotions, or whatever that may be, your mental health and your
Mhm.
stress levels.
Mhm.
Don't, it's what I like to call, don't DIY it. Don't do it yourself, because there's many factors that can
Yeah.
affect our anxiety. And just know that there are so many resources out there, and reach out to, professionals, download resources,
Mhm.
from the internet, so that you are not doing it alone,
Mhm.
especially nowadays when we are in the worst mental health crisis
Yes.
that you can imagine.
Yes, yes. Well, yes, thank you so much, Joy. To all the listeners, who support us on a daily basis, let us know how we are doing. Self-love, take care of yourself. That's what we are propagating with natural therapies, and that's what we
Yes.
bring every single day. An expert who can help you live a healthier and a happier life. Thank you, Joy, for
Thank
being with
you.
me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.